Tonight, I want to talk to you about squares, and I promise this will be interesting. We have 3 squares. This square is 1 unit by 1 unit. This square is 2 units by 2 units. This square is 3 units by 3 units. Easy enough to see. The area of these squares is the amount of space taken up in each square. So this area is 1 by 1, there's 1 square in it. This area is 2 times 2, there's 4 square units. This one is 3 by 3, there's 9 square units. This little exponent of 2, you can read it as 1 to the second power, it means 1 times 1. 2 to the second power means 2 times 2, but most people say it's squared. This says 1 squared, 2 squared, and 3 squared. To simplify those expressions, it's 1, 4, and 9. So we call this a square root symbol. It's the inverse of the exponent of 2. It's the inverse of squaring. It's the opposite operation. So the square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2, because literally this means, is there a square where you multiply a number by itself to get 4? And it's yes, it's 2. Here, the square root of 9 is 3. So literally, the square root of 9 you solve to be 3, because you know that a side of 3 by 3 makes a square with 9 square units as an area. So this says square root of 9. 4, 5, and 6 are the next 3 whole numbers after 1, 2, and 3. So you can square them, literally square them, and get an area of 16, 25, and 36 square units. Conversely, the square root of 16 is 4, the square root of 25 is 5, and the square root of 36 is 6. That word root literally makes sense because a root, like in a tree, it holds it into the ground. So these roots, these sides of the square, make the square possible. So this is where it gets interesting. Can you take the square root of 30? Most people would say, I don't know, it's not a perfect square. You can't make a perfect square with a whole number between 5 and 6, but you can estimate it without a calculator, because it's got to be between 5 and 6. And it's 5 away from the square root of 25 and 6 away from the square root of 30. So what's a good guess for what's about the square root of 30? It's going to be a little less than 5.5, maybe 5.43 or something like that. But the key is for kids to be able to estimate these kind of things and not just be so lost, because most kids get lost with this kind of notation.